In 2158, the Earth becomes uninhabitable due to pollution, ozone layer depletion, and water shortage. The world government decides to resettle people to a planet with similar conditions. Scientists begin construction of huge hypergates. The crew includes Professor John Robinson and his family. The man reports to management that Alpha Prime is the most suitable planet discovered by people. His team will fly there for 10 years in a state of suspended animation. Then the construction of hypergates connected to the one on Earth will begin, which will allow starships to move instantly between them. Spaceship Jupiter is equipped with another invention, a hyperdrive, but without a gate, it is not reliable enough. Major Don West is appointed to be a pilot. He considers the mission a walk in the park and is upset that he's been removed from combat missions. A group called Mutants fails to delay the mission. They contact the Robinsons' family doctor Zachary Smith and offer him money. The day comes when the expedition members arrive aboard the ship. On the eve of departure, Smith sneaks onto Jupiter and programs the robot to destroy the ship, but he is betrayed by his comrades and remains unconscious on the ship. The Robinsons go into cryosleep. Smith comes to his senses when the robot activates and begins to destroy navigation systems and prepares to kill the family. Smith has to wake up Robinsons and the pilot, but they cannot handle the robot until Will comes to help. Don discovers Smith and realizes from the sign on his hand that he is from the mutant group. The pilot is ready to finish him off, but then it turns out that the ship is falling uncontrollably into the sun. Don suggests that Robinson use the hyperdrive. As a result of this, the ship is transported to an unknown part of the universe. The crew is trying to figure out where they were taken, but there is not a single familiar constellation around. After some time, the crew discovers the Earth spaceship Prometheus in orbit of an unknown planet, and also another vessel of non-human origin. Don tells Smith that he must join their mission and do whatever they say. Will shows his father how he managed to subjugate the robot. The boy can now use it remotely and is in control of the situation. People board the ship where they find a strange biological substance and a robot of the latest model. At the control center, they manage to turn on the logbook. In the footage, Don's friend who commanded Prometheus refuses to return until he finds Jupiter. The crew is confused because they were only gone for a day. Why were rescuers sent for them? Suddenly, motion sensors detect something. People run in that direction and find themselves in a tropical garden. Don finds a weird creature that looks like a monkey but is clearly of alien origin. Robinson uploads Prometheus star maps to Jupiter's computers. Suddenly, the found creature begins to look around in panic. People hear strange sounds and see spider-like creatures that are clearly about to attack them. The professor orders everyone to evacuate, but there are more and more spiders, and they quickly catch up. Will takes command of the robot and begins to shoot back. The crew closes the doors, but this does not stop the spiders. They can pierce iron. Then Don puts on space armor and goes out to fight monsters. The people manage to run into their ship, but Smith is wounded by one of the spiders. The robot has to be abandoned, but Will manages to save his computer intelligence. Jupiter undocks, but the spiders catch up and begin to destroy the hull. Don realizes that the creatures are trying to break through to the heat and turns on Prometheus thermonuclear engines. Spiders rush towards it and burn out in the exhaust. To ensure that the monsters are destroyed, Don blows up empty ships. But due to the blast wave, Jupiter is forced to make an emergency landing on a nearby planet. The ship is unlikely to be able to take off. Smith begins to feel pain from the spider's cut. Meanwhile, Mary finds a source of energy near the landing site. This will be enough to start the reactor. Robinson decides to go to the site in the morning. After some time, Muriel clarifies that the signals are coming from the center of an incomprehensible bubble. Robinson hypothesizes that they are in the future. This is the only way to explain the rescue ship. Will states that this could be a side effect of the time machine he is designing. Robinson considers this just another fantasy of his son, but gives him his badge hatch as a farewell and promises to return, after which the pilot and the professor pass through the bubble shell. The climate inside is completely different. At this time, Will activates the robot's mind and synchronizes it with his own. Meanwhile, the men explore the time bubble and find a plaque with the name of their ship. They are trying to figure out where they are, but suddenly they are attacked by a robot. Will begins to construct the same robot at the ship. Then strange knocks are heard. The robot recognizes Morse code and translates the word danger. Smith is trying to get the boy's attention. The man is talking about the dangers, awaiting his father outside, after which Will helps him get out. The bubble begins to grow. Will runs forward, and Smith follows him. While Will looks around, Smith finds the graves of Marin, Penny and Judy, after which he takes the boy away from this place. Robinson comes to his senses and sees a man in front of him, who asks to look around. The professor recognizes the ship, but it looks as if many years have passed. The guy says that after the destruction of Prometheus, several spiders remained, which reached this planet and killed the women. Then the stranger pulls out a token, and the professor realizes that it is his grown son. At this time, Will and Smith are surprised to examine a copy of their ship inside the bubble. The adult Will shows his father the time machine he constructed, for which he used his hyperdrive. At this moment, Don comes to his senses. Having learned that they are in the future, he offers to use this energy to revive their Jupiter. But adult Will is determined to send one man through time and prevent his family from flying into space. The professor asks his son to think. What if returning to Earth, he destroys it? But adult Will does not want to listen to him, because his father did not keep his promise and did not return. At this time, Smith tricks Will into giving him the weapon and brings the boy into the ship's control room. He inserts his chip into the robot and orders it to turn on the blasters. Smith intends to fly to Earth alone. Suddenly, a nightmarish figure comes out to Smith. It turns out that after the spider bite, Smith mutated and has been protecting Will since the rest of the family were killed. Now he is very angry at himself from the past. Spider-Smith throws off his human body and orders the robot to take them away and lock them inside the ship. In another room, young Will reminds the robot of their conversation about friendship. The robot struggles with its own system, then deactivates and decides to save its friend. Robinson asks Don to return to the ship and wait for him there. If he gets the energy, they will all be saved, but if not, the military man has a better chance of ensuring the survival of his family. At this time on the ship, the woman watches the growing bubble. She understands that the man will not be able to return to the ship without their help. Judy orders the missiles to be prepared. Don and Will find the wounded Smith. A rocket fired from Jupiter points the way to their ship. At this time, the adult Will begins to ask Spider-Smith about the deaths of women. He realizes that Smith has not been telling the truth all these years. It was he who killed Robinson's family, but spared Will. All because the boy could build a time machine, which can return Smith to Earth and populate it with a race of spiders. After that, the spider throws adult Will into an open time portal. At this time, the professor arrives, who knows that spiders eat their wounded siblings. He takes out a bag of spider eggs found on Prometheus and throws it at Smith. An army of young spiders devours Spider-Smith. Then he falls into an open portal and dies. Robinson sees the adult Will, who is hanging unconscious above the portal, and saves him. Marin realizes that she cannot save her husband and orders to fly without them. The ship takes off, but does not have time to reach the required speed and is destroyed by the debris of the planet. Will realizes that his father never really abandoned them. He starts the time machine and sends John to his family in the moment before takeoff, after which Will dies under falling debris. Robinson knows that they don't have enough energy. He proposes to fly through the planet using its gravity to get back into space. The team takes the risk and achieves success. The planet begins to turn into a black hole and Jupiter activates the hyperdrive. Using Prometheus navigation data to determine its course, the ship jumps jumps into hyperspace.